So today we're going to be counting in our hundreds, but we're not only going to count, we are also going to write in our hundreds as well. So if you can see these beautifully colored squares here, we're going to count how many we have here. So I'm just going to draw a beautiful line all the way around. Okay, it's a very wonky line, but this is what we're going to count. Firstly, we're going to count how many hundreds I have circled. Now, I'm going to say how many hundreds. So each of these squares or each of these colorful grids represents 100. Now, I think you know how to write 100. Shout it out. So to write 100, the digits that we need are 1, 0, and another 0. And we have another 100 here. So we're going to write 1, 0, 0 here. And we've got another 100 here. So 1, 0, 0 here. And the question is, how many hundreds do we have all together? And how do we write that in numerals, which is numbers, and words? How do we write it in numerals and words? So firstly, we're going to count how many hundreds we have. Nice and easy. We have 100, 200, and 300. So to write 300, how do we write 300? I think you know. So it's a 3, a 0, and a 0. 300. Nice and simple. But now the question comes in, how do we write 300 in words? So firstly, we have to look at this digit here and we have to write number 3. So we're writing 300. So to write 3, I think you know, it's T, H, R, E, E. So we've got our first word, and then we need to write 100. So how do we write 100? Here we go. HUNDRED. There we go. So we have 300 in our, sorry, we have 300, and change the color of my pen. There we go. Let's pop that over there. So we have 300 in numerals or numbers, and we have 300 in words. Nice and easy peasy. So now we are going to do another one. Here we go. We're going to look at this one here. So I'm going to try and draw a circle. Just forgive me if it's a little bit wonky. I'm trying my best. So we're going to draw a circle all the way around these grids. Now, can you remember how many, or what is the value of each of these squares? What is the value of each of these squares, or what is the value of each of these blocks? So if you look up top here, it kind of gives you an answer. So the value of each of these is 100. So we're just simply going to write 100 in each of these because the value of each of them is worth 100, because we know that 10 times 10 is 100. And if you did want to take the time to count, just to make sure, you can count these blocks here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going to count along the bottom as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We count this one twice. Okay, so we know that we have 10 on this side, 10 going across down here, and we also have 10 here, and then instead of counting every single block, we can simply write a sum: 10 times 10. That's how we can double check how many squares, how many individual squares we have. So we know that 10 times 10, or 10 groups of 10, is the same as or equal to 100. So we've double checked that each of these squares contain 100 mini or teeny little squares. So as I was saying, each of these squares have 100. But now we need to write our number in numerals and words. Now that word numerals, can you remember what numerals mean? Numerals simply means, I know it's a funny word, but it simply means that we're going to write it in numbers. So how many hundreds do we have here? Nice and simple. Count with me. 100, 200, 300, 400, and the last one, 500. Fabulous. So 500, we're going to write it 5, 0, and another 0. Cool. Now we're going to write in words. Now I know writing in words is a little bit trickier, but you've got this. So do we know how to spell number 5? How do you spell 5? What letter does 5 begin with? Nice and easy. F. What's the next letter? I. Next letter? V. Next letter? E. 5. Okay, so 5, and the last word is 100. 500. So we've got, you can kind of like copy up here actually, because it's the same, isn't it? Yeah. So we got H, U, N, D, R, E, D. Nice and simple, just how we like it. Okie dokie. Now we've got one more to do. So we're simply going to quickly answer this one at the bottom, change the colour of my pen because I like to keep it nice and bright. There we go. We are going to go for a strange peach colour. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this time, instead of giving you all the answers, how or what is the value of each of these squares? What is the value of each of these squares? I'm writing it in, shout it out. Thank you very much. So each of these squares is worth 100. We have a nice 100 square here, another 100 square here. So I'm just going to circle it just so we remember which ones we are counting, because we don't want to get confused, do we? Okay, nice and simple. How many all together? We have 100 and we have another 100. 100 and another 100 is, of course, 200, because you can go 100, 200. So 200, you can see we've got 200, which simply means there's 2 hundreds. 100, 200. 500 here simply means we've got 5 hundreds. And as you can see, we've got 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. 300 here simply means we've got 3 hundreds as well. So we've got 100 here, 200 here, and 300 here. So we're looking back at this one because we haven't quite finished it. And what do we do? What do we need to do now? So we've written 200 in numbers or numerals, and now we need to write in words. Are you ready? Here we go. So making sure that we spell the number 2 correctly. So it's T W O. I'm just going to quickly show you something. So this is how we spell the number 2, but there are other ways to spell 2. Okay, and this is where some people get confused. There's you can write 2 like this, and you can also write 2 like this. Oh, how confusing, right? So when we are talking or when we're referring to the number 2, we are going to use this spelling here. Okay, we're going to use this spelling here. This one here, let me put a little arrow. This one here, it means we are going to do something. So you could say we are going to the shops. This one here is we are going to do something. We are going to the shops. And this 2 here, they're all the same word, but they have different meanings, okay, and different spellings. So this one here is referring to, we can say, me too. So I could say, I have a bar of chocolate, and you might say, me too. And that's another spelling. So we need to be very careful about which 2 we use when we are writing 200 in words. Okay, so I'm going to write the whole word out for you here. So we're going to, when we write 200, it's T W O, and then we've got 100, H U N D R E D. Cool. That's exactly how we do it. Now, if you'd like to, feel free to write any of this in your notes, especially where it pertains to this spelling of the number 2, because it always catches children out. Okay, so that's all for this this little activity. We're going to do another one in a little while. So fantastic. Well done.